This video is going to cover the topic of multi-step proportional stories. Be sure the date and topic are at the top of your page. The essential question for the video is what methods can we use to solve multi-step proportional stories? And the short answer to the essential question is one step at a time, right? We've been working with unit rate and the constant of proportionality in recent weeks, and we are going to build on that as we look at multi-step stories. And we'll start with that by looking at an example of when we might use multiple steps, and that is shopping. So let's say we see an ad for a sale at New Seasons, and it says fruit is 1/3 off, ice cream is 1/2 off, and crackers are 1/4 off of the original price. If a basic container of kind of sliced pineapple is $9, we want to figure out what the sale price will be. And this one has 2 steps. We need to know how much we will be saving, but then we also need to know what our final price will be. There are a few ways to do this. I'll actually show you 3 different ways that we can do this, and I'm going to show you these examples so that you can decide which one you like best moving forward. The first method is our old friend, the tape diagram. And so we can draw a tape diagram here to show the entirety of our pineapple and its original price. So this whole pineapple cost $9. But we know from our story that it's going to be 1/3 off. So what I would do with my tape diagram here is break it into thirds, because I'm trying to figure out what one of those thirds would be so I can figure out how much I'm going to pay. And so since the whole thing's $9, I'm going to divide it into those 3 sections. That means each of these sections is $3, right? They're proportional, so each section needs to be consistently the same, right? Since we are not paying the final third, however, the price that we care about is just these 2/3, right? We're not paying this one. This is our discount, so we aren't going to have to pay that, right? So our final price is 3 plus 3. Our final price is $6. A nice friendly way to do that. I had 2 steps to figure out how much I would actually be saving. I'm getting rid of that $3, and then I figured out how much I would pay, $6 total. We can do this with a second option as well. We're going to be using fractions for this method, and remember that when we see fraction, when we hear the word of, that usually indicates to multiply, right? Just kind of keep that in mind. So for this one, we know that we want to figure out what 1/3 of $9 is, right? So we're going to need that 1/3 times $9. And what we'll do here is we'll take our original price and we'll subtract what we get when we find out what 1/3 of the price is. So we know we're starting with $9, and we're going to subtract 1/3 of our $9, right? An order of operations would tell me, of course, that I'm going to multiply first. So 1/3 of 9 is 3. And then I would subtract, and I would get the exact same $6 that I got in the other story. So once again, I figured out that I was saving $3, and that meant I was going to be paying $6. Same answer, different method. And our third option has us start by deciding what fraction we actually need to be using for our total. So in this scenario, right, the fruit is 1/3 off. So therefore, if we consider the whole thing as 100%, or 1, we know that we're going to take off 1/3 of the price, which means that we're going to be paying 2/3, right? So we can actually just start by saying, oh, I'm paying 2/3 of the original price. So since we are just paying 2/3 of the total, we'd say, all right, so I know I need 2/3 of my $9, and I would multiply 2/3 times 9/1. I don't have much space here, but that ends up getting us 18/3, or again, $6. Right? Again, same answer, just a slightly different variation on how to find it. In that same sale, the crackers were 1/4 off, right? So let's say we're starting with a box of crackers that cost $3, and I'm going to demo each of those 3 methods again. So the first method was that tape diagram. So I'm going to do that in this section here for number 1. It was originally $3, but I know it's 1/4 off the original price. I'm going to break this into 4 sections to figure out how much one of those fourths would be. And proportionally, each of these sections is going to be the same. And that's what I'll get when I take that $3 and I divide it into 4 sections. And I know that 3 divided by 4 is 75 hundredths. And now, since I'm not paying that last fourth, right, I can kind of cross that out almost, that means I'm going to be paying the remaining 3, and 75 plus 75 plus 75 means it is $2.25. In method 2, this is where I can look and say, all right, I know my original price was $3, and I need to subtract what I get when I do 1/4 of, or times, $3. And I'm going to just work through that order of operations here, which will lead me to decide, oh, well, I have to do 3 minus that 75 cents means, again, $2.25. Same answer, second strategy. And the last strategy, of course, I could say, well, I know the whole thing would be 100%, but I need to subtract what 1/4 would be. So I know that I'm looking for 3/4 of my original $3, and I could go ahead and calculate that out. And when I do that, I get, again, $2.25. So all 3 answers are identical, just 3 different approaches. And we can use these same 3 strategies for larger problems as well. And this one actually is going to be not a discount, but an added-on tax. So we're looking at a car sold in Washington, where when you pay for a car, you have to have an additional tax of about 1/12 of the price added on. So we'll look at a car that was sold for $24,000 and figure out what the final total will be with the extra 1/12 added on. So my first method has my tape diagram, and I've broken it up into 12 sections because I'm looking to figure out that 1/12 of the price that I can add on. And I'll just go ahead and tell you that when we divide this into 12 proportional sections, each one of these will be 2,000. So each one of these sections here is 2,000. But since I'm actually having a tax, I'm adding it on. So it's almost like I'm extending this tape diagram an extra section with an extra $2,000. Which means we have to pay for the entire car, the entire tape diagram's worth of $24,000 plus the extra $2,000. This car is now an actual cost of $26,000. And that's a lot of steps, but in the tape diagram it went pretty quickly. In our second method, unlike what we did the first couple times, we're actually going to take our original price and add on, right, because this is a tax that we're adding, 1/12 of the original price. So again, and I'm just kind of doing my math here on the side, I would multiply first, right, order of operations, and this, if I calculate 1/12 times 24,000, ends up being that 2,000 that I would then add on and get the exact same price I got on my first method, right, different strategy, same result. And lastly, we could first decide what fraction it is that we need to get our answer. And in this case, we're adding on, so we would need the original whole plus a 12th. So we would actually be needing 13/12 of the original price. And again, I'm doing my work elsewhere on the side, but if I multiplied 13/12 times 24,000 over 1, I would get an exact answer of $26,000, right? Same answer, different strategy. So these are all different methods that rely on the fact that the information we're looking for is proportional to the original amount. And the essential question of the video was what methods we have to solve these multi-step proportional stories. And we've seen that there are 3 different ways we could go about it. You might have one that you gravitate towards more often than others, but they all work. Be sure to bring your notes and any questions to class.